All right, class. So I want us to take a step back and really consider a full picture of the reality that is data centers. So when we say we're going to save something on the cloud, right? That's going to a data center. That's not going to clouds. When we say that we want to have YouTube, when we say that we want to have social media, the data that is being created there are saved in data centers. So AI exacerbates the problem of big data. No denying that there. But I think that we need to have a balanced view of the problem so that we can appropriately value what is the pro and the con, what we want to keep, what we want to take away, so that when we think about solutions and a path forward, we're doing it without throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm a marketer. I am somebody whose world was completely changed by the internet. My field in particular is one where you are always having to learn the new thing. You are always having to keep your finger on the pulse because you go where the people are, right? And you need to be an expert on those spaces. And so when we think about the realities of data centers and what they've done to communities, I don't want to take away from that. I want the lawsuits to come out when they come out, right? I want the people to get compensated. I want the people to be healthy. I want the people to be safe. I want the prices of energy and water and our hierarchy of needs to be met as many people as possible. My goal is all, right? All people having access to clean water and a good quality of life that they can afford. So I, from that foundation, am not denying any of the negative outcomes that these data centers are posing on the community, right? I'm also a person who has seen data and the storage of it transform over time. So one of the benefits of my life is that my family has, for various reasons, given me access to computers pretty much since I was a child. And so I've seen a 212 megabytes go from something that would take up bigger than a shoebox, right? To something that is now not even available because it's too small, right? I have seen, if I'm a movie lover, so Hidden Figures, computer was once a actual position, and then it became something that we offshored to, or we offloaded to a device that would take up a whole room, that we would then offload to a floppy disk, and then thus the progression, right? Like the computer that my aunt has is still available in her house, and I see it absolutely does have a disk drive and a floppy disk drive, right? Things that right now are antiques. And I love the idea of going back to physical storage. Cool. I am not in any way denying the value there, but also when it comes to the internet, our connection, our ability to find community. I'm a person who has now friends that I've never physically met, but we got together because we have like-minded values, and that connection is just as natural and important to me as people I've known my entire life. It's not a different type of love. It's just a different type of experience and a different type of knowing each other. And so now that we've been able to find communities, now that we've been able to find entertainment, and like I'm learning Blender. Blender is an open source program. If I had decided to engage with design in the past, the cost of the software alone, the cost of the tools alone would have been prohibitive, right? And so now that there's a free program that I can use to do things that architects and designers in the past couldn't even dream of. 3D designers couldn't even dream of. Video editors couldn't even dream of a program that does all of those things. I actually am really grateful for the internet. And I don't want us to throw the baby out with the bathwater in terms of progress in technology. I think that many of the people who are appreciative of independent media and are so judgmental about data centers, for example, are forgetting the fact that data centers are the reason that there is enough space for them to create content, right? That is where their content is stored. That is why there is a YouTube that will allow them to be able to be on a different platform from what was done on the waves before, right? And I'm not a person that wants to say, oh, there has to be losers. No. Instead of saying there has to be losers, let's take away the idea that they get to decide the outcomes, right? Like, we are here too. Innovations have been coming from the most uncanny people from the dawn of time. We don't need Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and any of these people to be the only inventors and the only problem solvers that we lean on to figure out how we're going to tackle the problems of the future. You are here too. And these people have now presented to us, and because of the internet and the independent media, we are now made aware of a problem that needs to be solved. One of us is gonna solve it. Humanity has an incredible ability to solve problems. And so let's not have a classist view of who's going to be important for solving this. Because, you know, one of the things that I want to share so I have ADHD, and I am not going to sit down and read a really long book. I will listen to a really long book. I'm listening to Dune now, and I really like it. And it's available on YouTube. Think about how cost prohibitive, that would have been in the past. Think about how laborious it would be to sit down there and physically read when you are a person that struggles with sitting still, you know? And now I can listen to podcasts from brilliant people. I can learn from documentaries that otherwise wouldn't have been able to be made because they were so expensive. Now I can enjoy a documentary from a YouTuber content creator that is leaning into subjects that matter to me because there's enough space for more subjects to be covered. And I get to learn more now than ever before. And so I appreciate that of the internet. I'm not saying don't solve the problem. I'm saying let's solve the problem. I'm saying let's not forget that we are here too, and that we are just as capable of understanding what's going on. And, you know, as a coach, as a business person, my world is shaped by the concept of value and the concept of understanding positioning, and understanding need. And so when we think about the need that's being created, the value that's being created, and the problems that this is solving, that needs to be solved, there is a person, there is a group of people, there are steps that are going to be taken by somebody, why not you, to fix it, right? Remember, the computers used to be the size of an entire room, right? Done on discs. Now It's done on, I can get a Temu calculator that is a keychain, right? And I want to give space to the problem solvers, and I want to give empowerment and encouragement to the problem solvers to take on this problem. We don't need any demigods. Regular, schmegular humans will be the minds and the talents that are going to address this. And I want us, the people who feel it. My mom told me one time, just because it's not your fault, it don't mean it's not your problem. I'm Jamaican, so that accent came in. And ain't it the truth, though? Just because it's not your fault don't mean it's not your problem. And fault is one of those things that is usually like a slippery slope. I'm not a person that wants to lament right now fault. I want to think to myself, okay, this is a problem. These are the reasons. This is why this works this way. And let those of us who want to be thought leaders and voices of the future take the reins of the future and take ownership of our place here and our Seth Godin says kindling, our groundwork, our past and our backgrounds. Let us take ownership of that and use that to craft the future, because that's what's always happened. And we who don't want the elites to be the only people making decisions need to take ownership of our voices and start getting after it. I highly doubt that it's going to be physically, like actually me, that solves the problem of data centers. I'm not a computer scientist, right? But I'm a marketer. So I help shape positioning. This video is a move towards that as a step. You use your talents and opportunities and community and get together, and there will be solutions that will come from this, because these problems get solved if we prioritize them and make them a problem that theys, right, will need to address. And so I hope this is encouraging. I hope that you see the space for what you bring to the table be found, and just consider to shift your mindset from being on a runaway train that you can't control. Not saying that there aren't decisions being made on your behalf that are outside of your purview. That's very real, right? That you could be damaged by and harmed by, but within the capacity you have, lean in, and you will eventually find, I believe this with all my heart, my experience with life thus far, my experience with God thus far, my experience with humans thus far, is that once we decide to work together, and once we recognize the folly of our past ways, and once we address the problems, things get fixed. Remember? I mean, I'm old enough to remember that the ozone layer was depleting and we were going to all get burnt alive by a sun that had no filter. And the ozone layer is healed. And I'm not saying don't just let things happen, and ignore it. I'm saying if we figure that out, we can figure this out. Data and storage is a solvable problem. And the spoils of the solving is going to go to the person who solves it. So solve it. Have a good day.